One of the main reasons people tell me they don't want to leave a position outside of financial security is lack of clarity and confidence around what to do. This feeling can 100% be remedied if you are ready to do the work. There is no quick fix to finding a job or advancing in your career, but being strategic and doing the work will pay off. If you're ready to work, let's go. This is one episode in a 20-episode season designed to provide career foundations for experienced professionals. We are going to give you the tools to find clarity and confidence, help you with your resume, give you simple interview strategies, known job search strategies, negotiation tactics, and more, all with an experienced professional in mind. My name is Julia, and I'm the career strategist behind the Ride the Tide Collective podcast, where we equip ambitious professionals to strategize and take action to advance their career. Hey everyone, today we are talking about interviewing and specifically how to answer the tell me about yourself question when you are an experienced professional. For most people, interviewing is the worst. You're nervous, you're anxious, you want to do a good job, but you don't know if you are. The interviewer is hard to read, you mess up once and you feel like you tanked the whole interview. It can be a lot. In reality, the nerves will probably never go away. Most people will feel some nerves no matter how prepared they are, but that's the key to interviewing: preparation. Did you know there is an art and formula to answering interview questions? Don't worry, we'll go over this process in a later episode. But for the purposes of today's episode, I'm going to break down different answers to the tell me about yourself question and how you can best prepare. One of the first things you need to remember about interviewing is it's all subjective. What is an ideal answer for one hiring manager or recruiter might be different for another. There is a lot of advice out there, and while people have preferences, there is no foolproof answer. The best you can do is be yourself and answer their questions as authentically as possible. When it comes to the tell me about yourself question, there are different ways you can answer, but what you don't want to do is get too personal. Don't repeat your name. It's really just weird. Don't tell them where you're from or where you grew up. They don't need to know about your family, your marital status, or whether you have kids, because legally, they can't ask you those questions. But if you offer the information, they can use it in their decision. Does this sound impersonal? Maybe. But you don't always know who you're going to be interviewing with, and you don't want to share information that could cost you the position. While I hate even having to say this, sharing something like having kids, while it seems harmless, can be a red flag to a hiring manager who may be childless or who thinks you won't commit to the position because you'll want more flexibility for your family. Now, do you want to work for someone or a company like that? That is something only you can answer. But as a rule, kids are not something I advise you to bring up unless you know it is a family-friendly environment and you being a parent would be an advantage. This is all about doing your homework and knowing the culture and expectations of the organization. The answer to the tell me about yourself question is all about highlighting the best parts of your career up to this point that support you being the best candidate for the position. This is not a time to run through every position you ever held, especially if you have 10 to 15 years of experience or have held multiple positions. It's more about telling your story and giving them supporting evidence. From a structural standpoint, there are 3 ways I like to structure this answer depending on your field and comfort level. The first is the storytelling structure. This is a great structure for people in helping professions or people with a unique story that led them to this place in their life and into this career path. I used to work with nurses quite a bit, and this is the structure we would often use because for most of them, there was a defining moment when they chose healthcare. In a clear and succinct way, you describe your story and incorporate the positions or notable projects that led you to apply for this position. Here is an example. When I was a child, My grandmother went into the hospital, and I later found out that she had cancer. I would visit her all the time. So much so that I knew the nurses and doctors, and they knew me. I saw how the nurses cared for my grandma and for me when I would visit. After she passed away, I knew that I wanted to be in a profession where I help others during difficult times. This led me to attend nursing school and become an RN in a critical care ICU unit for 10 years. Throughout my time in this unit, I was called upon to take leadership roles outside of caring for patients, and I realized that I love the administrative side of nursing, and I had strengths and skills that supported this type of work. As a backup for the charge nurse for the last few years, I believe I'm ready to take on this role in your unit so I can support and lead the nurses who are caring for your patients every day. Now, this was an example that was more focused on the story than the experience, but the experience was woven in. If this person had another significant role, we would have added that in as well. But most nurses stay in positions for a while, so it isn't really uncommon for them to only have one position for a long time. This person could have also added a few examples of improvements or suggestions they made as a backup charge nurse. It all depends on what's important to the next role. I should also add that when you're answering this question, it should really be no more than 1.5 to 2 minutes. So the examples that I'm providing today are a little bit on the shorter side because I'm giving you examples. Yours will probably be a little bit longer because you're going to add a little bit more detail to them. The second type of structure is chronological. This is where you work backward or forward in order of the positions that are the most significant to the next position and so on. Here is an example for someone in finance. I have been in the finance industry for almost 10 years since I graduated from college. I worked in a bank for many years before becoming a financial analyst. I became sought after in my organization because of my ability to not only read data, but also write comprehensive reports and present data in a way that everyone could understand. I recently obtained my MBA with a focus in strategy, where I was able to work on strategy projects with small businesses that resulted in an increase of profit by 20%. My experience as an analyst, coupled with my MBA, has provided me the skill set needed for your position. I'm excited for this opportunity, and I look forward to sharing more about how my experience will benefit the team. I left some of this example vague because it's made up. So you would want to enter all the details of where you were an analyst, where you did your MBA, if it was a good program, and which small business you worked with, if they would be known or relevant. I would also add a quick project example to the analyst position. I like this structure because it shows your experience, but also highlights skills that are relevant to the future position, whatever that will be. I might also add a bit about why this position is of interest to you. Our final structure is talking about the most relevant experiences first, regardless of when they happened in your career. For this example, I will also add a volunteer experience. This structure would be used if you are switching functional roles or maybe lost your job and had to take something not related to your career path. I will use an example of someone who manages people in a nondescript industry and organization. For as long as I can remember, I wanted to help others succeed. Throughout my career, I have aspired to obtain people management positions because I'm great at bringing out the best in others and encouraging them to do great work. I had a management role a few years back where I had a team of 10, and I'm proud to say that I had the lowest turnover rate of all the managers in the company. I was able to keep the same team of people for over 3 years. Along with that, my team's production rate increased by 10% because I was able to help them utilize their strengths to do their job. Most recently, I've been volunteering at a food bank as the volunteer coordinator. Through this position, I manage the volunteer schedules, communicate expectations, and train new volunteers. These experiences, along with almost 10 years of customer service experience, make me an ideal candidate for this role. In this answer structure, we aren't giving the information in any order, and the resume probably also reflects this. We are highlighting the most relevant management experience, showing this person's why for their career path, showing their heart for the community, and also adding in past customer service experience, which tells someone they know how to communicate with others. For this type of answer, you might get asked about gaps or reasons for leaving. Be very diplomatic and honest without making anyone, including yourself, look bad. If you left because of poor leadership, you can say that while you liked your role, the direction the company was headed didn't align with your values. If you are leaving due to a major change in the organization, you can say something like, "While I enjoyed my position and thrived, there were organizational shifts that altered the expectations in a way that didn't align with my career goals or values." Do you see a pattern here? In some cases, you may have been let go, and it's okay to talk about that if it was out of your control. As I'm recording this episode, we are in the middle of a global pandemic, and this is a reality for many people. When faced with this question, it's okay to say, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, my organization was forced to downsize, and I was a casualty of that decision. While it was a difficult time, it gave me time to think about my next career move, which led me to your company and this position. At the end of the day, you need to answer this question in a way that allows you to highlight your skills and who you are. While you want to practice these answers, you don't want them to sound too rehearsed. An interview should be a conversation, and you want it to flow naturally. At the same time, you also don't want to drone on and on and on about every position and project that you have had. So practicing will definitely help you out. Well, there you have it. 3 answer structures that experienced professionals can use for the dreaded tell me about yourself question. If you are interested in connecting or have any other questions, please connect with Ride the Tide Collective on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn.